yeah, I guess just look after yourselves. It's obviously very, very trying times for everyone. We are doing our best to try and make sure that your rights within the workplace are protected, and unfortunately, it's.
So I'm here with Aenghas, who I met through Red Union, who a lot of people have heard about recently, and a lot of people have actually joined Red Union because it seems like they're actually, working for their members, which is what unions are supposed to do. And specifically at the moment anyway, you guys have been really focused on helping people who don't want to be coerced and want to keep their job with the whole mandatory vaccination policies going out. And you're doing some actions in Queensland right now. And also, I believe there's some actions happening in Victoria. And the reason I'm talking to you, Aenghas, is because I have a lot of followers who are at risk of losing their jobs, and they want answers and resources and tools and help to be able to keep their job and hopefully not have to be coerced. So, Aenghas, tell me a little bit about Red Union and how they are going to help their members through this difficult time.
Sure. So the common thread that we're seeing here amongst effectively a lot of employers, whether they be private or government employers, is effectively that there's been a complete failure from employers to consult with their employees with regards to this, and a complete failure as well to risk assess the workplace health and safety concerns of a lot of our members with regards to COVID and the COVID vaccines. So what a lot of members of, we've got plenty of members in our organisation that have gone to get the vax. We've got plenty of members that also have obligations. Our organisation's taken the stance that we're willing to support people no matter what their choice, particularly if they have those workplace health and safety concerns that we mentioned. So what that really involves is a request for a risk assessment. And what we've found is that there's basically I'm yet to see one that meets the standard required under the Act, which is quite sad. So the governments and private employers are really just slapped in this blanket policy, and it's unfortunately to the detriment of workers. So
now I spoke to a Woolworths staff member today, and he said sometimes when they bring in a new knife or a new peeler, they have a whole risk assessment done on it, and they teach people how to use it and all this sort of stuff. And in this situation, they're just actually refusing to give the risk assessments from what I hear. Is that correct?
In some cases, yeah, we are hearing from employers that they are. That once again, they have duties under the Workplace Health and Safety Act to perform these risk assessments. And if they're choosing not to engage in that process, then they're doing their employees a great disservice, and they absolutely need to do these things. As a part of that, so they need to not only potentially propose vaccination as a solution, which seems to be the one that they've arrived on, but they also need to look at the other options available. So that could be anything like personal protective equipment for people, so donning a mask or additional equipment. Could be rapid antigen testing, but none of those are being put forward. And really, they haven't even begun to consult their employees with regards to this process or propose any other solution. And particularly when you look at people with underlying health conditions, I know there are some ladies who are pregnant who have concerns about it. People have their different issues. The complete lack of conversation is really just doing them a disservice, and what a lot of our members are concerned about.
Even if you want to get it with or without the coercion, you still deserve to have a risk assessment done to make sure that it's safe for the workplace or for each other and things like that. So that's a really good path that you guys are going down. So are you taking legal action on behalf of your members, and what does that look like at the moment?
Sure. Well, it really depends on the state, because there are different state laws that apply. What applies to everyone, though, is, as I said, that risk assessment process, because that's Commonwealth legislation. So effectively, as I said, your employer has the duty to risk assess. And if they sack you during that time when you're trying to exercise your workplace right, we believe that you should be paid and deserve to keep your job, and that there's legislative backing for that. What we're doing for Queensland and Victoria currently, and we're looking into prospects of other states as well, is where, say up in Queensland, for example, we're launching a judicial review action as well. So effectively that looks at the scope of the employment orders that have been given out. So whether Dr. John Wakefield up here in Queensland Health actually did the working out that I mentioned earlier, conducted all of the things that he's required by law to do. And if he didn't do that working, then we believe that he doesn't have the power to make that choice.
And would you suggest to the viewers watching that they should put in writing in an email to ask their boss or their employer for a risk assessment and see what happens?
If they've got genuine workplace health and safety concerns about all this, I would recommend that they go and do that. And the steps for that are available on our website, www.redunion.com/WHS-info. The same link as the WHS info one. That's also available for the other associations that we've got as well. So if you've got police or nurses or teachers or drivers and they find the right association and they head there, they can begin the process.
Great. So just so I'll just let the audience know that Red Union is a banner, and then underneath that you've got unions for specific industries. So they can go on the website and have a look at that. Now, if I know you're a senior member in Red Union in one of the states anyway, and if you were to say in 30 seconds or a minute what makes Red Union different, how would you answer that?
Sure. Well, I think really the standard trade union movement here has really forgotten workers. They've really just kowtowed to the government line, and unfortunately that's left thousands in the lurch. People that need a home, I guess we're happy to be that home. We support our members regardless of what they choose. We've helped those that are keen to get the vax, go and get the vax. We've also are now obviously have got a lot of media attention recently for sticking up for those with these workplace health and safety concerns with regards to this risk assessment and consultation process. So we're happy to back this supposedly controversial pro-choice stance.
Do you have an opinion? In Victoria, we're going through a lot at the moment with privacy issues around vaccine passports and things like that. It says pretty clearly in the Privacy Act that you don't have to disclose private medical information without your consent, etc., or to buy food and things like that. Does Red Union have anything to do with that moving forward, and will they consider doing an action on that for people?
I probably couldn't speak to the Privacy Act stuff. I know, so our concerns are primarily with the workplace health and safety obligations because we are industrial bodies. What I know some, for example, that do have those privacy concerns within, say, hospitals and everything like that, and with it being shared amongst staff and everything. It's really a difficult argument to mount, and I'm probably not being as coherent as I probably should be right now, but effectively it is a reasonable question that your employer is asking. If you withdraw that through whatever form or whatever strategy is out there, the current directives that are in place for a lot of these areas put the onus on the employee to provide that information. So you might say you can't have this, but then because of the way that the directives are written, it kind of, I guess, makes the employee fall short of the obligations that they have under the directive. I really could have done that a little bit better. Sorry, but
no, that's fine. It's a shame that there's that breakdown there, because obviously there's also the concern of how they're storing the data and stuff like that as well. It should be really protected, as opposed to, on a spreadsheet on a computer somewhere random, just a tick next to vaccinated or not vaccinated. Like, that's actually not okay. Anyway, yeah. But I guess that's not what you guys are concentrating on at the moment. But down the track, if you get a lot of Victorian members, it could be something that would come up for you guys. So we'll see about that, hey?
Yeah, well, I did see, this is before we were national, for example. We had a situation up here that garnered some media attention where a similar Excel like that was printed out and put in the hallway for not only the other staff to see, but then also the members of the general public, which we managed to have that removed, because that is a clear breach right there. Yeah, and if any of our other members have their privacy breached like that, we will defend it.
Yeah. And it's, I don't know if you've seen this, but Daniel Andrews, he said in a press release, and I know I'm going a bit off topic, but I just want to tell you this, but Daniel Andrews said that people would need to show their vaccination status to go shopping at clothing shops, retail shops, etc. And then 3 days later, a news report came out that that's completely false. So people are taking their legal advice from a premier who just says it on national television. And then we find out from the news 3 days later that actually retail shops don't have to ask customers. So in those 3 days, those retail shops could potentially have been breaking the law by asking because they listened to Daniel Andrews. So it's very confusing. But
yeah, well, it's definitely we've heard similar stories all around the country where, yeah, the messaging can be very confusing. You know, do people wear masks? Do they not wear them? When do they wear them? You have to wear them sitting on the way to your table at a bar, and then not any time after that. Yeah. I guess I can't really say much other than it's confusing.
Yeah, well, as a lay person who's not a lawyer, who maybe isn't good at reading or something like that, the directions are changing, you know, every 3 days, 2 days, the whole legislation, you know, and how can an everyday person be expected to understand all of that? It's just, so I think that Red Union will help their members to try and understand those things, I imagine, right?
Well, I guess when it comes to those individual health directions, I guess I am less impacted by the Victorian one, so I'm less familiar with the Victorian Health website and everything like that. But generally speaking, our government up here updates their restrictions and everything fairly quickly after an announcement. I don't know if the Victorian government does, but I guess that would probably be the point of truth.
Well, you're going to need a big team in Victoria because Victoria is an absolute mess. My lawyer, it took him 45 minutes to find the mandatory vaccination legislation. All he could find was media outlet articles and things like that. It took him 45 minutes to find the actual legislation. Yeah. So it's really difficult. But thanks very much for coming on. I'm going to share this video and give my audience an opportunity to join Red Union. I think it's about $400 a year. So it's a small price to pay to be backed up by a team of people. So is there anything else you'd like to say before I go?
Yeah, I guess just look after yourselves. It's obviously very, very trying times for everyone. We are doing our best to try and, you know, make sure that your rights within the workplace are protected. And unfortunately, it seems like we're one of the few people actually willing to take this position, or one of the few organisations to take this position and actually stand up for what should really just be common decency and abiding by the government's, you know, legislative duties. So
yeah, just like choice, the law, you know, things like that. Anyway, well, nice to meet you, Aenghas, and we'll catch up with you soon, and I'll talk to you later.
Nice to meet you too. Catch up.